Hello everybody, it's Jen, Scrapbena Creations. I'm here with my first card for the Simon Says Stamp May card kit. This is the card that I'm going to be making today. So although the card kit is sold out, the stamp set is still available at the time of posting this video, and it is called Delicate Flowers. It's a 6x8 stamp set. So I've already got the images that I want to use on my mini Misti here. I'm going to be using my Simon Says Stamp Intense Black ink. I am going to be doing some copic coloring today, so I'm going to stamp this image with this ink twice. This is a copic friendly or alcohol marker friendly ink. Once I get these stamped out, I'm going to jump into the coloring, and I'm going to use my favorite pink combination. So this is the first time that I'm actually coloring flowers, and I had a lot of fun. I thought I'd play it safe with my favorite pink color combination. So I'm using R39 as my darkest, R85 as my darkest midtone, R83 as my lightest midtone, and R81 as my lightest highlight color. So I'm just going in here and I'm adding the lightest color to where I want my shadows to be. So anywhere where there is a petal laying over top of another petal, and also if there's any indents or V-type shapes in the tops of the leaves, I'm going to add some shadows to that area. So I started out with this top portion of the flower. I didn't want to do the whole flower all at once. So you can see here I'm just laying in that darkest to start mapping out where I want this shadow. So now I'm coming in with my darkest midtone, the R85, and I'm just going to blend out where I've added that darkest marker. So I'm going to go over top of the R39 and pull that out a little bit as I go over top of it. Now you may notice here if I switch markers in between, it's just because I noticed that I missed some spots. So it was definitely different for me to color a flower, but I really enjoyed it, and I was kind of channeling my best Courtney Krieber. I've watched her color flowers forever, and so I feel like I learned a lot from her and was feeling pretty comfortable with attempting this first flower. So now I'm bringing in my R83. I'm going to pull those colors out even more, making sure now that there is that R83 around all of the images that I've started coloring. And here I've already moved on to my highlight color of the R81 and blending that out. So I'm only going to show you the coloring for this large flower with the leaves, and then we'll move on to putting the card together. But I did want to show you kind of where you might want to add some of the shadows for this larger flower. So now I'm going to do the rest of the flower here. So I'm bringing back my lightest color, the R81, and again just mapping out where I think I want those shadows. And like Courtney, who does her coloring with flowers this way, it really is easier, because if you make a mistake, then it's easier to cover up the R81 or your lightest color, whichever color palette you're using, than it would be to cover up your darkest color. So as you can see, now I'm just going in with that R39 to give me some beautiful shading on this gorgeous flower. Not sure what kind of flower this is, but it's absolutely gorgeous. And I thought that these flowers would make a really pretty Mother's Day card. So just blending that out now with the darkest midtone again, the R85, and I'm using the darkest midtone pretty sparingly. The bulk of my color is really going to come from that lightest midtone, the R83, and then leaving just a bit of highlight for the R81. So once I get this finished, I'll move on to the leaves. It does take a little bit of time. I think it took me 20 minutes to color this flower in real time. So need a little bit of patience with an image this large, but I love the way it turned out. So just using my R83 now, here's where you can see that I'm really filling in those petals largely with this color, and then I'm going to grab that R81 marker for the last time and blend those together. I do like with the R's going over the entire image that I colored to blend those all together, and it gives a beautiful blended look. Just wanted to do a little bit more on the top part there, and now we'll move into the leaves. So for the leaves, my lightest color is the YG01, which I'm using right now, and some of these leaves were kind of hard to tell which were in front and which were behind, so I just did my best here to map this out. My darkest color that I'm using right now is the G28. So I'm using that under the petals, and then if there's an area where there's a leaf over top of the leaf where the two meet, and I'm also adding this darkest color to the veins in the leaves just to give them some added dimension, and I'm coming in under the petals as well. So now going over with my YG17, I'm going to pull some of that shadow out with this mid-tone marker. And then I'll move on to the YG25, and some of the areas were a bit tiny to get 4 colors into, but I was determined. So I'm just going to keep at this, making sure to leave some spots available for that lightest color, which I'm coming in with now. And that will just give it a really nice highlight. Of course, I will do some gel detailing. If you have been watching me for a while, you know that I love my black and white gel pens. So here's a close-up of all of the images colored, and I did fussy cut these out. So now I'm going to bring in the Simon Says stamp. This is called the Script Mom die, and it has the shadow plus the scripty mom word. So for the top part, I'm going to be using some white glitter cardstock, and for the shadow, I'm using some black cardstock by Simon Says Stamp. And all the products will be linked below in case you're interested in checking them out further. So I'm just going to add some liquid glue here to my sentiment, well, not really sentiment, my word. And for the bigger parts, I used my Lawn Fawn glue tube, and now I'm just coming in with my Zig 2-way. It has like a pen tip, so it gets into the smallest areas. And I'm just going to adhere that down to the shadow. The liquid glue just gives me a bit of wiggle room here to make sure I get it into place. And I'm just going to use my stamp block to make sure that that's nice and adhered. And I already had my sentiment on that I wanted to use for the inside of the card. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start constructing my card. So I'm using 110 cardstock. I just used Recollections for my card base. I'm going to adhere these right down onto my card base. And I want the leaves to be kind of trailing from the top left to the bottom right to give a nice diagonal appearance to the card, which can often be very appealing to the eye. So you saw there, I did cut off a couple of the leaves from that top branch just because you weren't going to be able to see them anyways, so I thought I might be able to use them as a filler. Now that I have those two in place, I'm going to try to figure out where I want to put our mom word here. I have popped up this larger flower on some 3M foam tape. I'm going to stick that down. I'm not going to press too hard at the moment until I know it's in the spot that I want it. And then I'm going to add some foam tape to that right hand side of our word so that it doesn't get crushed in the mail. I'm going to add some liquid adhesive to the front part of that word that will overhang on the flower, and then adhere that down to the card base. Once I get that in place, I can go ahead and add my other two flowers. I wanted the bud to be at the top of our word here, and then I'm going to use the more open bud down facing towards the bottom right, and I'm just going to position it underneath the word so that there's no spaces in between there, and that'll give it a nice seamless look. I did have to cut both of the stems off for those two smaller flowers just so I could get them into where they needed to go. And then for the front of the card, I'll just finish off by adding these 2 leaves that I cut off. I did have to go in and fussy cut out that stem that's in the middle, but I was able to do it to where you can't even tell that it was attached to that other portion of the leaves. So once I get this into place, I think I have to trim it down a little bit more, yep. And then I'll get that into place, and then we can go ahead and work on the sentiment on the inside. So I'm using my Versafine Clair ink for that, and the sentiment reads, "You are so special to me." So this comes in the Delicate Flowers stamp set. Just going to use my bone folder here to make sure I get that down creased nicely. And then here's where I'm going to come in with my white gel pen, and then once I get the highlights on, I will bring in my black glaze pen just for the little oval pieces inside of our flower. And that will be the card for today. So I'm excited to play with the Simon Says Stamp Make Kit. I am hoping to do a 10 card video, so stay tuned for that. Not sure if I'll do all 10 cards in one video or if I'll break it up into 2 parts. We'll see how things go. This is definitely a challenge for me. Seeing it's all about florals. It's really pretty, but I'm used to doing kind of more cutesy images, critter images, but I really love the way this turned out, and I hope my mom will enjoy this card for Mother's Day. So thanks everybody for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you all really soon in the next video. Bye!